this Giro was the first Grand Tour where I felt I just got better and better as it went on. And even I used to wonder if that's not you getting better. That's like when other people would say, I'm just getting better and better. I wondered if that's not them getting better. They're just getting less worse.
Hi, this is Ride to Unite, and I'm Anna Glowinski, where I'm chatting to some of the best loved cyclists. And today is no different because this guy is often described as the gentleman of cycling. And I'm not referring actually to his age. It's because he's such a decent bloke, but man, is he competitive. It's Alex Dowsett. Hi, Alex, how are you doing?
Good, very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Really nice to see you. And we're going to go straight into this because we don't have tons of time today. And I'm aware that the clock is ticking. So after the career that you've had and the year that you've had and all your vlogging and your tweeting, everything that you put out on social media, it's pretty hard to imagine that there aren't many fans of cycling who don't know who you are. But we're going to do some of the introductory stuff to tick it all off at the beginning, and then we'll go into the nitty gritty. So you've been a racing cyclist for how long now?
Full-time professionally since I finished my A-levels, which, 12 years. And I've been in the world tour for 10 years now.
It's amazing, isn't it? Is it that puts you as one of the more senior riders? How does that feel?
Yeah, not a young, I've sort of very much realised I'm not a youngster anymore. And I am one of the older boys in the team. There was no in between either. There was no few years where I was like, I'm a medium age rider. It was like, I always thought I was a young rider. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, I'm like, no, now I am an old rider.
And when you were first getting into it, who did you look up to? Who were your idols?
I mean, when I very first got into it when I was 14, I didn't really have any. Cycling wasn't a sport that I loved when I was a kid. It was, I tried cycling and then found I was good at it and then started to fall in love with it. So the guys I looked up to when I was the kind of 13 and 14 were the guys that I immediately had to beat around the Malden 10 course. So names that probably no one had ever heard of, like Gary Paul and Pat Mott, and but they were the Malden club riders, and they were like the next guys that I would be aspiring to beat. And then when I started getting into more road racing and on the track and started to sort of really start to follow the sport, then it was I think David Miller was about the only Brit that was racing in the Tour de France, so he was the only one I could kind of look at and be like, that seems like the top at the moment. But never really a massive kind of idols person. I mean, my dad was a motor racing driver. I think, to be honest, any sporting heroes that I've had, he's top of the list, to be honest. So it was quite close to home.
Yeah, and maybe it's because you're quite a down-to-earth person as well, so that riders will just seem like real people to you. And do you know when the younger kids, I mean, obviously they're not, they're grown-ups, but officially grown-ups, but they're coming in at a younger age, and you're that person, sort of, you're the David Miller to them, you're the hero. Do you end up having pep talks, or are there any thoughts that you would pass on down to them?
It was quite fun, actually. European champs this year. GB took a very young team and me, and so I was the old boy in the team, kind of your team captain. And I think my biggest message there was to not ignore your national team, because I think obviously it's very exciting turning pro and going to a world tour team, and often. And I think in the last few years, there's been a bit of a too good to race for GB mentality, and sometimes, and the focus has been very much on the tour and obviously and the world tour circuit, and riding for your country has kind of played second fiddle to some athletes, and I kind of wanted to say to these youngsters, and it was like you had riders like Matt Walls there, and when I was in Team Sky, Matt Walls was like an under 12 or an under 14 that had turned up to an event that me and Pete Kenner had gone to, and we had a picture taken together, and then I was riding for him at European Champs, because he's a world-class sprinter now, off to Bora Hansgrohe. So I kind of said to him, I was like, don't ever think you're like too big to ride for GB, because when you get like older again, and it's big, like going to European Champs, going to World Champs, like it's all really big, and it's kind of the stuff you'll end up telling your kids, or more than saying, oh, I rode for the Prince of Bahrain's team, or I rode for like Jim Ratcliffe's team. It's kind of riding for your country sort of is massive. And yeah, I hope these guys just won't forget that as they move up through the ranks.
Yeah, and you've had a eclectic career of different wins and highlights and moments where you're both representing either these commercial teams or your country. So which are the biggest highlights for you? What are the proudest moments for you? Are they when you're representing your country?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Commonwealth Games have both been very big. The first one in Delhi in 2010, I got a silver medal, and that was again, commies was like, I remember when I was a kid, Commonwealth Games was like the slightly smaller Olympics in my mind. It was the one that came round the 2 years that the Olympics didn't come round. And then suddenly it was kind of like, when you're a cyclist, Commonwealth Games was what you went to if you could. And so we went on the way back from World Champs, which is in Australia, and got a silver medal. I mean, World Champs had gone diabolically, but got a silver medal to Dave Miller. And just the response was colossal. And then and that was like, oh, this is big, actually. This is far bigger than I had given credit for. So then 4 years later, when I went back in Glasgow and converted the silver into a gold, it was that was massive. It was just funny because Movistar, originally they had me down to do Tour of Wallonie, and I said, oh, actually, can I go to it's called the Commonwealth Games? And they were like, yeah, no, that's fine. And then after it, they saw all the hype around it, and they were like, Alex, what have you won? Because it's getting a lot of attention, and so I had to explain the Commonwealth and why the fact that we have a games, but like that stuff, like that was big. To be honest, it's the ones that you don't expect to win that are the biggest, though. So, and there's a couple of standout ones there. It's a one junior Tour of the Peaks, which is a race that doesn't exist anymore. As a first year, and I remember we went there, and the junior team I was with, there was 4 of us, and there was 3 sets of carbon wheels, and I'd said to the other guys, you use the carbon wheels, because I'd be surprised if I get round this, let alone do well. And sort of got round and got away and won it, and it's that sort of that feeling where it's difficult to put into words, really, because I was so sure that I would struggle to even finish, and then when you surprise yourself and win it, it's huge. It's a bit like the stage of the just gone. Like, woke up that morning fully set on having an easy day, like a bit of a recovery day within the Giro, and then found myself in the break, and immediately I was like, there's some strong guys here, but I think if everything goes to plan, I think I can win this. And then we went up that hill, and I was like, maybe I can't win this. And then it all kind of fell into place again. And it's that. I like retrospectively looking at it. It's like if someone had said to you that morning at breakfast, like, you're gonna win the biggest road race of your career today, you'd kind of laugh at them and tell them to jog on, and then it all, like, the stars align, everything falls into place, and you deliver something quite massive, and it's quite Yeah, it's a very strange. It's a good strange, but it's a very strange feeling.
And I guess that point you make about things falling into place and opening doors, we're going to come on to more stuff about that for this year. But going back to that race you just mentioned as a junior, was that something that you thought, was it a door opener for you, in at least even in your mind psychologically, or had you already got your heart set on being pro at that point?
No,
did it make you realise I could be onto big things?
No, I was a small steps person. No, I didn't ever think further than a year later or 2 years later. It was even then, I'm not sure I thought more than a few months ahead, to be honest. I think about, what do I want to do this year? And this year when I was a junior, I want to win the national 10, I want to win the GHS, and I want to win the national 25, and anything else is a bonus. So yeah, that race was like, I can win road races as well. And then you start readjusting your goals, and in the following year you try and improve on that, and then see where that takes you. And then that like the following year then took me to Worlds on the track, where we did well. Took me to Worlds on the road, where I didn't do well, and then got me onto the academy the following year. So I definitely was not. I never thought too far ahead, and I don't know if that's a flaw or a good thing, but it seemed to have worked for me. I was never like, I want to win the Tour de France. I would never have said that when I was 14, because it seemed far too far away, and something that I didn't actually know enough about to know if it was a realistic goal or not. I was more like, I want to win the national 10, or I want to do a sub 21 minute on the Malden 10 course, something like that.
And is that an attitude that you've carried on with you then throughout these 10 or 12 years of riding at that level? Do you continue having that sort of more shorter term attitude?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yes, I think so. It's like, how can I improve on last year for next year? I think that's, for me, it just seems a lot more achievable than having you'd have maybe with Olympics. I know I'm ballpark for Olympic selection, so you can have maybe have a 4-year plan of getting towards that, but within that there's a lot of shorter plans. You've got to perform at Worlds and Europeans and various TTs. So yeah, it's a much short. Yeah, I am a much shorter term planning person.
Yeah. And it's terrible, isn't it? I'm going to go on about your age again. I'm sorry. I'm making you sound like such an old man. You're younger than me.
The hair's still there, and there's no grey hairs in the beard.
That's the bad thing, isn't it? Like, people talk about retirement of careers and stuff, where people sort of our age in any other career are still talking about career progression. It is bonkers. But does age affect, like the age that you are, experience versus peak fitness, especially in some of like the bigger races, Grand Tours and stuff like that? Where do you feel like it puts you?
I'd say it was weird. This Giro was the first Grand Tour where I felt I just got better and better as it went on. And even I used to wonder if that's not you getting better. That's like when other people would say, I'm just getting better and better. I wondered if that's not them getting better. They're just getting less worse day to day than everyone else. But it's weird. In this Giro, I was getting better and better. I could see it in my numbers. I knew how I was feeling. I felt like I could do anything towards the end, which is great. And maybe that is an age thing. I think it's possibly also, though, an education thing, like knowing more about hydration and nutrition and how to look after myself day to day better than I did sort of when I was young and kind of thrown into it. So yeah, older and wiser. There's something to be said for that. I think that stage win was as much about brains as it was brawn.
Yeah, that experience. And do you feel like you can continue that for time to come then?
Well, I hope
this is something that you're building.
Yeah, hopefully. I think I'll I'll be quite a bit more relaxed about it all in the next couple of years anyway, because I really panicked when I thought that perhaps this was it for World Tour racing. Like going into a Giro wondering if it would actually be my last ever Grand Tour. And kind of like, obviously with Chanel, we talked about it a lot. I kind of like, okay, if this is it, what does it look like? And I kind of was starting to come to terms with it, and was actually starting to be okay with it, and that was fine. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was fine, and I think it's actually put me in a better place for the next couple of years, because when it does come time to hang up the wheels, I think I'll be more ready for it than had I not had this year. And I think that will help the racing, because there's quite a common trend of riders like that are under big pressure, not getting the results, and then they'll sign that contract, or they'll like get that breakthrough result, and then they'll just get a load more. I know that happened for me when I signed my first pro contract with Team Sky. I was fighting to get results, and then I got them, and then I won a bunch of races afterwards. So I think that will help. I just go into the next couple of years a lot more relaxed, and I'm excited about the team, because the team's like a project as well, and I quite like a project. Trying to help make the time trialists in the team go fast. I think they value my input quite a lot, so I feel like I can have quite a big. I can assist quite a lot with my years of experience because of my.
You've dangled the carrot too much there, because I was going to come to this a bit later, but you spoon-fed me into it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You've got a team, you've got a contract. It's all happening for the next couple of years.
Yeah, staying put for the next couple of years with Israel Startup Nation, and that was all done and dusted during the Giro. Stage win likely helped, but yeah, just glad to be still in it.
And what would you be doing if you weren't going to be?
I don't know. Well, we've got a baby on the way, so stay-at-home dad. We really weren't sure. I think a lot of people I don't think I'd want to be a director, because it's more time on the road, and it's not something that interests me a lot, and I think tactically with road races I'm not that good, so I didn't really want to do that. I thought it'd be silly to step away from cycling, given everything, given it's been my life for the last it's been my life for 16 years basically, and I know far too much to not utilize that.
Well, I actually took the liberty of doing one of these career path quizzes on your behalf.
Okay.
So don't worry, I've got you covered, Alex. Don't worry. So I had to write in some things that I think that you're interested in, and I know that you like vehicles, sports, and social media.
Okay.
So just correct me if I'm wrong, because otherwise I'm going to be sending you on a career path that is just not for you. Being active. Working in a team, but being competitive.
Yes. Yeah.
And helping others, because you always seem like a nice person. Both you and Chanel actually do come across really helpful.
Thank you. And
media, you like your media, sports and tourism. So do you want to know what the results are?
Go on.
I think it came up really well, considering it knew nothing about your background as a pro cyclist.
Yeah.
It says you could be a talent acquisition manager.
Okay.
And they earn the big bucks.
Yeah.
A bike mechanic.
Okay.
Or, this is the one, a bingo caller.
Oh. I played bingo once, just the once. I came out 60 quid up, so I quit.
Quit whilst you're ahead.
Yeah.
It's not what you normally do.
No. I was just figured that's it. Like,
So can you see yourself in Essex Community Hall, waistcoat, microphone?
Oh, yeah, I mean, my nan used to be an avid bingo player every Friday night, so maybe the stars are aligning.
Well, good. I'm glad that we've got you sorted, but it's not going to be happening for the next couple of years. So we'll all have to hold on to our bingo cards until that moment. You've got a couple of years planned.
Yes.
Some big things up the sleeve, because this year would have been very different without COVID.
Yeah.
And some other little secrets that you just told me about before we started recording. So tell us about your plans.
So immediate plans. Doing an hour record on the 12th of December. Just squeezing that in before baby arrives in January.
You're literally squeezing that one in.
Why
do you suddenly feel like now is the right time?
Well, I think it'll be easier to do than after the baby arrives, to be honest. It's from what I hear about parenthood, it's quite hands-on. So no, I mean, I guess there was an element of that, doing it before baby arrives, but then also it's been something I've wanted to do for the last 5 years, basically, and circumstances have prevented it, but then also it got to a point where I was like, if I want to do this, I'm gonna have to do it myself. I say myself, like Chanel and I, because Movistar didn't want to do it again. Katusha wasn't in the place to do it, and it's Israel's first year in the world tour, so it wasn't really a priority for them either. So we just set about organising it ourselves. So that's happening on the 12th of December in Manchester.
And you feel like you've got the legs for it? You're good at the moment? Yeah.
I mean, like the timing is to utilise the Giro. Because although it's a race and it's a hard race, it also serves as a hell of a training block. So as to use that, then slot in some specific stuff and then be good to go. So I think it's provided the only variable is atmospheric pressure. If you've got a high pressure or low pressure day, can alter sort of the distance by a couple of 100 meters. So that's the only thing outside of our control at the moment. Which would be fun.
And do you feel scared announcing something so big like that publicly? Because, like you say, there's pretty much nothing outside of your control. So if you don't get the results you want, it's very like the spotlight's on you.
It is, and it would have been nice to have quietly gone away and like behind closed doors done it, but UCI. You can't be a former hour record holder and do an hour record quietly and it be official. So I figure if we're not going to do it quietly, then we may as well do it properly. So it's going to be. I mean, with COVID, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a grandstand full of people. Far from it. But it'll be on TV and all of that jazz. So it's it's turned
one to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed. It'll be so exciting. And then if it's going through the list, tick off. You'll have baby next, and then it's the Olympics.
Yeah, the baby won't be televised. No, that'll be really exciting.
What a year you've got coming up! What a year! It's massive.
Yeah, and it is. It's good fun though. I mean, like our record, you can really complicate it, and then it can become quite simple as well. So it's ultimately, I'm in good shape. I know how to ride the track. Just need to, once it's all in place, turn up on the day and stick to the schedule. Baby is something where it's down to Chanel really. I'm there to pat her back and hold her hand and tell her it's all going to be all right, and try not to pass out myself. But that's I think we're both very excited about that, and also I think I personally am much more excited knowing that our future's secured as well, at least for the at least for the next 2 years, we can like enjoy rather than panic, because this year is such a tough year for so many people with COVID, with what it's done. So we're very fortunate to be sort of in a place where we can enjoy being first-time parents.
And so then, looking forward, bike racing wise.
Yeah, then that all kicks off again, which will be good. And with with an eye on going to the Olympics and doing well. You don't go to the Olympics with GB to just ride round. If they take you, then they know it's because they think you can medal. So that's been an ongoing project with a lot of work gone in. So that's quite glad it didn't happen this year in the end, because fitness-wise I wasn't quite in the right place. But I think next year we can sort of learn from that and really, really hit it properly. So it's good. Yeah.
And Grand Tours and all of those expected?
Yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, Giro for the Olympics, but also with Froome joining the team and the time trials that have been announced at the Tour, we don't know. I wouldn't like to hazard a guess. It's not something that we've talked about. So we'll see where the land lies. Also, with the Olympics and how long you have to be there before to compete is up in the air, whether the Olympics will even happen. It's all very up in the air, so having to be quite open-minded about 2021, I think.
Excellent. We'll watch this space.
Yeah.
Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to throw a few quick-fire questions at you. No explanations needed.
Okay.
What's your worst race ever?
Stage 9 of the Giro.
Okay. What name would you never call your baby?
Donald.
See what you've done there. What is your favourite post-ride dish?
So during the Giro, the evening before the rest day, the chef had lay on burgers, chips, pizza and beers, and that went down an absolute storm.
Excellent. Although I'm sure Chanel's going to be upset, because I know that she likes to prepare you pretty nice stuff.
Oh, and that's great as well. It's just something about getting that far, reaching another milestone of a Grand Tour, and then knowing that you've got that on your plate that evening. Obviously, a close second to that is anything Chanel makes.
Back up, rewind. Amazing, cool. Well, like I said, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I know you've got a jam-packed schedule, loads of interviews. Everyone wants a piece of Alex Dowsett at the moment. Loads going on, loads to talk about. So thank you for taking some time out of your day to speak to us at Ride to Unite.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers, Anna.
Bye.
See ya.
I hope that you enjoyed that Ride to Unite interview with Alex Dowsett. Such a nice guy, isn't he? Let us know what you thought of it in the comments below, and who else you'd like to see interviewed as well. I'm Anna Glowinski. See you next time.